I've missed quite a few things on my 2-month hiatus from content creation, so today I want to quickly go over them in rapid fire style. Let's start with the meltdown of the Manato Komano mains over the reveal that he was an A-Rank agent. So look, a steady stream of more accessible playable characters in gacha games is necessary when said games want to introduce new playstyles and archetypes as a bridging of the gap between the premium and non-premium options. To anyone saying his presence in previous story content warranted him a spot as an S-Rank agent, I would like to remind you that Lighter was originally rumored to be an A-Rank agent before ZZZ's launch, yet was reversed to an S-Rank agent despite doing nothing of note in version 1.2. He's barely even noticeable on the patch's key art, with Lucy taking up more real estate than him despite being a standard A-Rank agent. And in 1.3, where his banner debuted, he's completely absent in favor of Yanagi and HSO6 taking up the entire key art. With that out of the way, let's talk about actual gameplay. Now that the ZZZ team of Hoyoverse have finally figured out what they want to do with Rupture, opting for consuming your own HP to perform attacks with high stagger resistance against hyper-aggressive mobs like the Miasma Priest and the Wandering Hunter, someone has to take the A-Rank status to ensure Rupture isn't the exclusionary playstyle it's been for a few patches now. Similarly to how Pan Yu is a bridging of the gap for Rupture team buffing. Now, you might ask, why did it have to be a male character? The answer is simple. It's because Zenless Zone Zero has cultivated a target audience with a high demand for playable female characters. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. ZZZ cultivates a female-leading audience, males come out and underperform, either because people don't pull for them, or people saved up a lot of free pulls from skipping female characters, they deem male characters as non-profitable, and the cycle repeats itself. Male characters are only ever trotted out when Hoyoverse can accurately predict an oncoming dry spell, either from selling too many desirable female characters at once, or when the player base is aware of an oncoming female character who will consolidate a lot of revenue for them. You won't like what I'm about to say next, but if you want Hoyoverse to take male characters more seriously, you have to go out of your way to spend more money than the female banners frequently and overwhelmingly. Not spending money out of protest, unfortunately, does not work because of the aforementioned audience cultivation and self-fulfilling prophecy I laid out earlier. You will only send them the wrong message in doing so. And I say this as someone who just recently toyed around with Manato's kit and found out that I actually find him more fun to play than either Yizhuan or Yidhari, and I am currently building him. But the problem with investing into Manato is if I want a good team for him, I have to pull for Lucia and for Jifufu, which only continues to perpetuate the perceived high female character demand. Banyu truly is the last chance ZZZ players will have for a long while to attempt to get Hoyoverse's attention for the demand of male characters. I myself, however, will not be contributing to Banyu as his design and characterization is not my cup of tea. I'll have you know, my favorite kind of male character is someone like Aventurine from Honkai Star Rail, a self-centered narcissist with a flair for the dramatic who's antagonistic to the player and is not afraid to show off some flamboyant traits.
君は断れない。断る理由がない。断る余地もない。おい。
And to anyone bringing up Love in Deep Space, what about it? I'd bet my left ass cheek that most of you bringing up lads don't even play it and just see a big number on the monthly revenue chart and think I care what it has to say. Next! Let's get this next one out quickly. The designs of both Lucia and Yidhari, as well as the design changes that Lucia got. Hoyoverse is no stranger to squirting out poorly designed characters. Just look at Mika from Genshin Impact as the poster child for that. Obviously, I agree with the shared sentiment that a lot of the design elements from the waist down are way too similar to Yizhuan, and their attempt at redesigning Lucia only made things worse. But it honestly just do be like that sometimes, and quite frankly, I don't care. Every gacha game at one point or another will have a handful of character designs that are real stinkers. But you know what? There will be countless newer characters for players to find out about in due time and desperately want. If you're bummed out that this was ZZZ's only chance of having a goat or octopus theron and they came up short, then yeah, I can understand the frustration. As for all the people using these two characters as an opportunity to hijack the conversation and brigade a message that all of version 2 of ZZZ's character designs are garbage, you're being straight up dishonest right now and can kindly go back to the original gacha community you crawled out from, cause it sure wasn't ZZZ. Jofufu is a beloved character whose marketing did a fantastic job of emphasizing the juxtaposition of her being a petite, non-threatening looking girl despite having Theron traits of a tiger, one of the stronger natural predators in the animal kingdom. Manato has a dedicated audience as we've already seen, and Banyu is rapidly rising in the ranks. Orphe and Mangus, I think, are great, even if 2.2 didn't do all that well. Alice is cute, and her heterochromia makes for some charming irony given her obsession with symmetry. And Yuzuha is hands down the best design of version 2 we have right now. From her vibrant tones of pink and red, her knit cardigan sweater that looks really good, seriously, I'd wear that if I was a girl, and the literal tanuki she has as a pet that's animated alongside her in combat. So no, I don't care what happened with Lucia and Yidhari. There will be more characters along the way, and we already had plenty of banger designs to begin with. As for what I thought about the story content of version 2.2, I think the story pacing was too slow at the start and could use some trimming. Having been exposed to modern gacha storytelling content for years now, I don't want my story updates to be no more than 4 hours long. That goes for all Hoyoverse games, Wuthering Waves, and whatever other big name gacha is out there now or is on their way. Why is that? Because almost every time you can guarantee that all of these stories are bloated with the most verbose, overly explained concepts, or painfully slowly paced slice of life moments that exist to inorganically immerse you into the world and the story. The longer it takes for these story writers to get to the point, the more people you are going to lose along the way when you're trying to explain your complex and deep plot and character arcs. Unless that was the intent from the start, with boring paragraphs of yap, so by the time they develop TikTok brains, they'll soyjack to the 2-minute cinematic you put at the end of a 4+ hour story. Getting back on track here, having the dream sequence at the start of the 2.2 story to not so subtly suggest Isolde might have deeper motives that would come at the odds with Obo Squad was not necessary. On a more positive note, the back end of 2.2's story was a lot more engaging, and if it wasn't for Chinese regulations on depictions of violence, this story would have been a lot better with a deeper exploration of the nitty-gritty of ZZZ's world. I have a feeling, possibly a year or so from now, when we're out of this Exaltus plotline, we'll be going after the new Eridu Defense Force and possibly even explore the stories of the rebel forces in the far future. As much as I want to go over the conversation of power creep and HP inflation we saw during the first Deadly Assault reset of version 2.2, I want to hold off on saying anything for a much more in-depth discussion later down the line. Primarily because the very nature of this discussion and how ever-present it is long after the Deadly Assault rotation ended means I can pick this back up at any time to talk about it anyway. And more importantly, there is something I specifically want to talk about in this specific Deadly Assault rotation that I did not see hardly anyone talk about at the peak of the issue. So please wait for a future video on this matter. To close out the video, I want to lastly cover the conversation of the gacha revenue from version 2.2. Frankly, I don't care about why ZZZ didn't perform well. The seed reveal, the Manato backlash, the Deadly Assault fiasco, none of it matters because everyone is having the entirely wrong conversation. The gacha PvP brain rot that the monthly revenue chart has brought upon online discussions of opposing gacha games acts in direct conflict with pro-consumer business practices as it perpetuates the idea of infinite growth and shuns the very notion of a poor month in sales performance. If Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Zenless Zone Zero, Wuthering Waves, or whatever game underperforms for just a single month, it's considered a doomsday scenario for their associated communities, and they need to rally the troops to ensure next month they'll make a comeback. No! This is not a healthy mindset, and none of you should be thinking this way at all. If anything, you guys should be celebrating when a gacha has poor revenue. because it means they'll be more inclined to listen to their players when they can't just dangle the latest banner in front of you and expect you to take the bait. If this were Electronic Arts, Activision Blizzard, Ubisoft, or any other company with a negative public reception, the very idea of a group of people rallying to make excuses for a poor quarterly earnings report would disgust many of you. Many of you! But in the gacha community, it's a twisted reversal of perspective because we can't risk our waifus and husbandos getting hit with an end of service. This kind of infinite growth that's shunned in every other corner of the games industry, yet is rallied behind in the gacha industry, is one of many reasons why gacha communities are practically cut off from mainstream game content creation and social media circles. And the sooner everyone figures that out, the sooner we can stop being shunned for what we chose to spend our free time playing.